Deathscyp here from YCG, your casual gamer. So I decided to make a side note on the event dispatcher episode 22, 23, 24, since there was a bit of confusion with the event begin play, the custom event, and the event dispatcher, the way they all work individually. And I wanted to clarify this for you guys. I understand, I mean, if it's all new to you guys, it might sound like Chinese, and it was like this for me at first. So what's the better way to use the last door that we have to make in our season 2 to operate it with the right clarification? Now, the event begin play, the way that it works is that as soon as your level is loaded, it fires, but it's only gonna fire once when you open the game or the level. And what I mean by level is that if you're working with level streaming and one or two levels are not initially loaded, when you load them, that's where it's going to fire. And if you unload the level and load it again inside the same gameplay, it's going to it's going to fire the event begin play once again. So keep that in mind. Now the custom event needs to be called upon, and if you never call upon it, it will never ever be fired. You could have the biggest program you want over here, and it's never going to carry out unless you're calling it. And that's where the event dispatcher comes into play. The event dispatcher is looking to call whatever is binded to the event dispatcher, the call feature over here. So you have over here the keyword, which is call, and then it's looking for something that's binded to it. And what I did is I just did a custom event over here that would be called with the event begin play, that would bind the activate switch, which is over here, the activate switch event dispatcher, and then whenever I would call it, there would be something hooked up to the binding, and therefore the custom event could be carried out. I don't know if that's more clear to you guys. And now you could have made it without the double custom event, and that's what we're going to do today. We're actually going to have only one custom event. We're just going to have the event begin play fire that custom event, and binding, actually it's not going to fire it, but it's going to bind the two together, and then they're going to be awaiting the call from either the interaction blueprint or the event dispatcher blueprint, which we have over here. So now there's a few things you're going to have to do before we get started. First off, if you're not there in your episode yet, I'm already in the second part of the level, which you might have to do if you keep going inside my episode. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. You can just have a static mesh like this. Just have it on movable, and the interaction BP, wherever you're at, it works too. I just put it on procedure 2 so that I would call the activate door just for using purposes. And then I have the event dispatcher over here that I left in the corner, which works only when I come inside the box. It fires out its event, like you see over here. I reach inside the box, and if it's true, it calls the level communication. And what I did is I just hooked up the binding of the operate door, in our case this one over here, that's right here, the static mesh, is going to be called upon whether it's being bind by the interaction BP or the event dispatcher. Wherever the binding is, as long as it's being called from somewhere, it's going to carry out. So it doesn't really matter. And since I have the do once over here in my program, it's only going to carry out once. And if you're wondering what the program is, it's the same as we did in the 2-1 for the door and the button. It's just that I did the interaction, you can't interact with it once more. The button becomes green. You hear the sound for the button, and then since there's two sound one next to another, I put a delay just to make sure you hear both of them, or else you might not hear them at all. And then you have the big metal door that goes up with the static mesh component hooked up to the move component 2, plus 200 for me, and on the z-axis that depends for you guys what it is. And now if we check if it works, you're gonna see that I can walk up to that box over here, and it's going to do exactly the program I want. And if I go up to the button and try to interact with it, it's going to say I don't need to interact with this anymore. And then if I do the other way around, where I just go to the button and click the button, it's going to do the same thing. And if I go in the back here, it's not going to carry it out again. So I hope this clarifies how the three individual works independently. And now you understand a little bit more why I did this. The only reason I did this is aesthetically speaking, because I don't need a second event to bind my event dispatcher. I just did it because I don't want my program over here. In my case, it works because I don't have anything else. In our case, there's nothing else being called here. But you could have so many things. It could be a checkpoint. It could be multiple events, just not one here. There could be another one down here, another one there. And then if you bind all of them here, you would have all these little red lines going all across the screen, and that would look pretty bad. And I just wanted to get rid of that. So there you go, guys. I hope this helped many. Now we're ready to attack the timer, since we finally have a clear path all the way to the finishing line. So take care.